Brandi Gates, and I am a lactation consultant. I work, and I'm also a trained doula, even though I don't do doula work, but I am a trained doula. What else? Okay, I'm a mom. I was a breastfeeding mom. I have 3 little girls. They're not that little anymore. They're 12, 7, and 5. I nursed them all for long periods of time. The longest being 3 years. I love breastfeeding. I've been working I work at Highland Hospital, which is our local hospital, like 5 minutes away right here. And it's our baby-friendly hospital. And then I work at West Oakland and East Oakland Health Center for the WIC program there. So I started off my breastfeeding journey as a breastfeeding peer counselor. Well, I was a breastfeeding mom. Had a daughter when I was 21 in college, and I pretty much breastfed her because I was a broke college student. And I was like, I'm gonna feed this kid. I'm barely feeding myself. So I chose to breastfeed her because it was free. And because of the education I received at the WIC program. Being part of WIC, they actually had like a job posting at the WIC office. It was like, do you think you could support women with breastfeeding, blah, blah, blah. So I applied for the position. I didn't even know there was a whole breastfeeding world out here. I just was a breastfeeding mom. I applied for the position and became a breastfeeding counselor. So I've been working in the world of birth and breastfeeding for about 12 years now. And I love it. I love it. Every day is a beautiful and amazing day. I would like to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the work that I do. I do have a community awareness group called the Breastfeeding Mafia, which is Mothers Against Feeding Infants Artificially. And what we do is we promote breastfeeding and awareness around breastfeeding in the African American community. So we have several events that we host a couple of times a year, and I will definitely like us on Facebook. And you guys are all more than welcome. We have one that's coming up. It's called Paint the City Pink, and it's in October. And pretty much it's like a ladies' night out. So a lot of the clients that we work with are single mothers, and they don't really have an outlet to like have a life. They're mostly like working and being moms. So what Paint the City Pink is we talk about breastfeeding awareness and cancer, and how breastfeeding reduces your risk of getting breast cancer. And we pretty much just have a ladies' night. We get a babysitter and everybody drops their kids off at our house. And then we go out and do an activity, and we go and party. And it's really fun because a lot of the moms haven't been out that whole like 6 or 7 months, and they really have a good time. So that's one of the events that we do, and it's coming up in October. Another event we do is called Breastfeeding in Bubbles. It's like an event like this. We host it at a local park, and we invite doulas and breastfeeding support people, and we just all have a barbecue, and we sit around and we breastfeed. One of the other things I like to talk to you guys about is about premature birth, infant mortality, and hey! Look, I'm like, let me give a shout out to Jackie. Hi, Jackie. She's one of our clients, but that comes to our group. She's a breastfeeding mom. It's about infant mortality, premature, and health disparities that face Black people. So how many of you guys have heard about infant mortality or know what it is? Okay, almost everybody. Good. So for people who don't know, it's the age at which babies die before their first birthday. And African American babies are at highest risk we have the highest infant mortality rates. So our infant mortality rates here in Alameda County are about 13%, while white and Asian and Latino are about 5 to 7%. So we're almost double everyone else. And the research pretty much shows that if we breastfeed our babies, we can reduce our infant mortality rates. Our babies are dying because they're pretty much not being breastfed. So they're dying of things like asthma, pneumonia, fever, diabetes, like different type of childhood cancers, things that could be easily reduced if women would breastfeed. So that's where the Mafia comes into play. A lot of my work is to talk about why it's important for Black women to breastfeed our babies, talk about the health disparities that can be reduced if we breastfeed. So you reduce your risk of your child's risk of asthma, diabetes, cancer, obesity, you help make your baby smarter. There's just tons of benefits around breastfeeding, and just promoting that education and that awareness to our community is like my passion, what I love to do. I also want to talk about premature birth, because Black women are at high risk to have preterm babies, and we don't know why. But we do know some of the stressors are like living in poverty, lack of early prenatal care or prenatal care in general. Also, just being African American, just dealing with racism and daily stressors. The other thing is that even if you are an African American woman and you do everything right and you carry your baby to full term, we have low birth weights for our babies. So our babies are born smaller than other races' babies. Why is this happening? We don't know. But the good thing is we're here to learn about what we can do as a community to support women, all women, but women of color, and since it's Black Breastfeeding Week, Black women, to help our babies be born stronger, to be born bigger, and to be born on time. So some of the things you can do is definitely, if you guys support Black women, talk about how they're at risk. I know a lot of times I work with other population with white providers, and they feel like they can't say certain things to Black women. Like, well, I can't tell her that. She's gonna be upset. And a lot of times the clients that I work with, they're upset because nobody is telling them that they're at risk. Nobody is telling them they need to, you know, eat better or walk or drink. They're not telling them this stuff. They're kind of just going to the provider. So one thing we can do is promote education. We can tell them things that they can do to be healthy. We can talk to them about the benefits of breastfeeding, and not only for a week or a month, but for at least 6 months or at least a year, which is what World Health Organization recommends. And we can provide support for them in the postpartum period around breastfeeding, around latch, around positioning, around going back to work. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. We have a breastfeeding support group in West and East Oakland if anybody's ever interested. It's for women of color. We meet third Tuesdays at 11 a.m. It's called the Breast Friends. And we're getting ready to start one in Berkeley in November, so people who live there.
Nice.
So yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Concerns? Nothing? Hope I did. Okay. Thank you.
You did perfectly. Thank you.